Hello and welcome, I'm DKH and this is my upcoming game The Art of Dying. This episode is going to focus on some of the enemies that I have implemented so far. So it's going to get exciting. Finally we'll get to use what we learned in the last video and smash some more interesting objects. More interesting than crates even, if you can imagine that. I feel it's very easy to make one big mistake when it comes to thinking up enemies to put into your game. It's all about the approach. Intuitively, you would think about the setting of your game, then try and find enemies that would be there in that environment in real life or comic renditions or whatever. River level gets turtles and crocodiles. Cloud level, that's birds and, well, angry clouds? This is the wrong approach though, in my opinion. And it gets worse when the enemy gameplay mechanics are also derived entirely from what the enemies are or represent in real life. Instead, I want to think about enemy roles. How about an enemy that threatens you from above, one that shoots at you from below, one that's very fast but weak, one slow and well armored, one that shoots homing missiles, and one that throws bombs in an arc. This way you'll get balanced, challenging and diverse gameplay, and that's much more important than what your enemies are or what they look like. I'd rather make a game where every enemy is a different kind of bat or skeleton, but with well-specified roles, with each type working fundamentally different than the next, than having a bunch of super creative and unique, cool types of enemies that, however, all work exactly the same with just a different skin or look to them. Okay, that's not the best example I ever came up with, but I think my point stands. If you want a crocodile in your game, have it be able to bite the player because you need a close-ranged enemy that threatens from below, not because that's what crocs do in real life. Real life doesn't really matter in games. Having said that, let me quickly present a couple of enemies to you. I'm not going to show you every single one of them because I don't want to ruin every surprise the game may have, but these should give you a decent first impression. First of all, you've probably already spotted the wall turret. I'm not gonna explain much, you've already seen it, it's pretty simple. But here we have the basic spike. There's nothing special about it. You just get too close and you're dead. Note that you can have spikes face any direction, up, down, left and right. This gives level designers the chance to implement complex jumping segments, especially when combined with a double jump mechanic. Next, we have birds. They fly over and attack you from above. You never ever want to be directly underneath them. Eliminating them is easiest if you can get on top of or next to them. Oftentimes, however, you will need to approach them from underneath. In those cases, either use a well-timed dash to quickly pass through under and ignore them, or if you're trained with a double jump spin attack, use that while once again carefully avoiding the area directly underneath the bird. The key is not to jump into them, but to rise up next to them and steer into them from the side while in midair. Then there's guards. If birds were a top to bottom enemy, guards are side to side enemies. They'll shoot at you if you're next to them or higher up at like a 45-degree angle. By far the best method of dealing with guards is to master the dash move, run up to them while using that move to slide under incoming projectiles and then dash right into them to kill them. If you find the way blocked or are forced to approach them from above for whatever reason, you will need to exercise extreme caution and react fast to dodge their generally well-aimed and pretty damn lethal attacks. And the last enemy type that I want to show you today is what I internally refer to as the Hellbot. This is a flying robot. As the name implies, it's very dangerous, especially in groups. Compared to other enemies, this is an all-rounder. It shoots in all directions. I gave it a couple special aspects since I thought a flying all-rounder was a bit too boring and uninspired otherwise. On the one hand, the Hellbot is safe from any of your attacks while it's shielded. Only when it opens up to shoot is it vulnerable. On the other hand, the projectiles are, as you can see, fired in a cardinal direction pattern, up, down, left, right, for example. And that pattern alternates with every attack. This rounds up what I wanted to show you today. I know that this was a very limited preview, but as I said, I want to keep some surprises. Nevertheless, there's a good chance I'll make a second enemy preview video roundup thingy later, depending on how many enemies make the cut into the final game and how much I want to give away early. Thank you for watching, stay tuned for more updates on The Art of Dying, there are more videos in production. Cheers, and as always, goodbye.